Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, really appreciate you guys watching today's video, and got a really good video for you guys, especially since we're coming up on the winter months. We're going to be talking about why so many people struggle to catch fish on jerkbaits, because this is, like I said, if you've heard me talk about it before, jerkbait fishing is the most difficult technique as far as to master out there. And I hear a lot of people that they just don't like to fish them, or they haven't caught many fish on them. And that's why a lot of the on the water lessons I do in the wintertime are so popular, because people want to learn how to catch fish on jerkbaits because they struggle with them. So we're going to get into that today. I'm going to sort of give you an overview why I think people struggle, and maybe some tips and advice on how to get past that. Also, guys, real quick, I just want to invite everybody out there. I'm going to list, after we get on with the video here, in the description, I'm going to list some of my favorite jerkbaits for winter fishing. And if you guys would like to try a few of them out, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description to those jerkbaits, and you can get you a couple of them and try them out under certain situations. And also, please check out my other channel, Advanced Bass Fishing with Randy Blockett. I've done 3 advanced jerkbait seminars that are hour-long in it, and you guys can watch those seminars and learn a lot in that too. And I'll put the link to that channel in the description here too. So much appreciated. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about why people struggle with jerkbait fishing. One of the biggest reasons that people struggle with it is there's so many variables to it. You've got the jerkbait profile, you've got the jerkbait, the different lip, designs on them, lip configurations, you got color, choices. The fact that you have to impart action and you have to impart cadence on the bait. This is a bait you can't cast and reel in. You actually have to manipulate the bait and put the action on it. So there's a lot, that's just to mention a few of them. There's another 20 variables out there, and that's why people struggle with it, because in order to catch fish on a jerkbait, you got to have a lot of these variables come together just in the right mix. So what I want to do is I want to give you sort of a brief foundation, a brief overview of some things that you can do to help out if you are struggling to catch fish on a jerkbait. And then again, I'd highly suggest referring to my other channel for those hour-long seminars on it. It will really help you guys out. So the first thing that you have to realize in jerkbait fishing is color is critical with it, because a jerkbait is a sight-oriented bait. Now, if the water is a little bit off-colored, say for example, if you got like 2.5 or 3 feet of water, which you can still catch fish on a jerkbait in that little bit off-colored water, yeah, the noise, some of the internal balancer systems will draw fish, from a vibration and a water displacement aspect. But for the most part, a jerkbait is a sight bait. These fish, when you're fishing a jerkbait in the wintertime and you're fishing it slow, they will get very close to that bait. They'll get all around it and they study it. And one of the things that determines you get a bite on it or not is if the color is right for the variables that are present at the time, such as the sunlight conditions, the wind, the water visibility, sunlight angles, different type of stuff like that, all play a part on what is the best color. So one of the things about color is you have to experiment a lot with color to really hit on the right combination. And there's some guidelines that you can go by, like I talk about in the seminar, but for the most part, it's just experimentation. And you can start out with some, general good suggestions. Like for example, on a cloudy day, usually a flat finish, like a pearl, is usually a good color traditionally, but a lot of times that doesn't work and you got to try something else. So one of the first things, guys, that will help you out is experiment with color. The next thing is cadence and retrieve is so critical with that. Now, most people, when they fish a jerkbait, they throw it out there and they do a jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause. And yeah, you can catch fish doing that. That's not, that's a decent way to fish a jerkbait. But based upon other sets of variables, like the species of the bass you're after, again, the water visibility, the water temperature, the wind, sunlight conditions, sometimes they want the cadence different. Sometimes they want the cadence speeded up a lot. Sometimes they want the cadence where it's just a barely twitch, like you'll throw it up there and you'll twitch it down and then you'll just like barely move it, or sometimes just you'll even barely reel it and just barely have that jerkbait move along the water column like that. You don't really know what they want, again, until you experiment. So the 2 factors that are more important and why most people struggle with it is they don't experiment with the cadence and retrieve and different color variations. This is extremely critical. Another reason why I think people struggle with jerkbait fishing is they use a bait cast rod and not a spinning rod. I've talked about this a lot in my videos. A spinning rod will get you double the bites than a bait caster will, because you can manipulate a spinning rod and you can put action on a spinning rod, especially in cold water, that you cannot duplicate with a bait caster. You simply can't do it. Just the dynamics of the setup will not allow you to do it. Along with the fact that another reason people struggle with jerkbaits is they use too heavy a line. In the wintertime, guys, you should never use anything over 8-pound line. I use 4 to 6 pound test line 80% of the time. And some situations I will go to 8 if, you know, the water's a little bit off colored or there's some heavier, I don't want the bait to go quite as deep. I never go above 8. That's a really big factor with that. And finally, guys, out of just a foundational understanding here, there's a lot more in the seminars that, you know, I've got in advanced bass fishing, is you have to know where to throw the jerkbait, because based upon the time of the year you're fishing, these fish will set up in different situations, and the two different variables that determine the areas that you fish with a jerkbait are if you are targeting truly suspended fish or fish you're pulling up off the bottom. Some fish with a jerkbait, if the water's clear or even off colored, the fish are setting on the bottom and you're pulling those fish off the bottom to hit that jerkbait. In other situations, these fish are truly suspended and they're like roaming around chasing shad schools, and you're catching them out of those suspended fish. Most of the time this activity takes place on main and secondary points, sometimes in ditches, sometimes on steep banks. But understanding and knowing the type of structures to fish based upon the makeup of the lake you're fishing, like what type of rock configuration or water visibility it has, comes together. So anyway, guys, the reason people struggle with them so much is there's just such a wide range of things that have to come together just right to get those fish to bite a jerkbait. And once they do, it is so fun, guys. I would probably, I think the funnest bite in fishing is when you throw that jerkbait out there and you're jerking it down and you let it pause and you jerk it one time and then all of a sudden you see your line twitch and you set the hook and that fish is there. I love that. It's such a great feeling in the world. Other times you're jerking it down and you're jerking it and you'll pause it, and as soon as you jerk it, the fish loads up on it. I'd probably rather catch a fish on a jerkbait as far as how it feels to catch it, even over a topwater bite. But anyway, guys, please check out the videos I put on advanced bass fishing. I'll put the link in the description. It will really help you guys out. There's 2 hours of information I've got up there on jerkbait fishing. It's a deep dive into the technique, and a good way to learn more about it. And also, if you'd like to book an on-the-water lesson with me to go out and I'll show you how to fish a jerkbait here on Table Rock Lake or Stockton, shoot me a private message on my Facebook page, Randy Block, a Professional Angler, and we'll get that set up. So much appreciated, guys. We'll talk later.